So thank you for being here and obviously taking some time out of your busy day, some of you the evening, those of you from Denmark. And look, it's really great to see you all here. Actually, I can't see anybody, but I know you're there. So we've just got a little bit of housekeeping that we have to do. If you want to get a really good experience with this, it's a good idea to turn off things in the background like Skype and email and iTunes, you know, whatever your thing is. That minimizes your possibility of being kicked out of the webinar. Now, silence your phone, close the door so that you can really focus on this. You know, multitasking is way overrated. So stand to the end. I've got a great bonus for you. And also, we're going to have the live Q&A, of course, and you can ask all your questions. Now, if by any chance the sound disappears, and this has happened to me on other people's webinars, just refresh your screen or even go out and then just come back in again with the same link. So I don't know why it happens, but that's an easy fix for it. And just one other thing from my end, technology can fail, and it has definitely failed before. In fact, I will never forget it. Once my whole computer crashed, and that was panic stations, because it can take a little while for it to, you know, get back up. A computer takes time to get back up. And that time when I got back, there was only about half the people had persevered and waited for me. So if that happens, just get a cup of tea, read a magazine, and wait. And know that I'm doing everything possible to get back up. So don't give up on me, in other words. All right, so today I'm going to teach you how to wrangle this demon called irritable bowel syndrome into submission and kick it into touch. There are 6 elements I want to go over with you just to get you on the right track with this diet. I mean, it's completely ridiculous for anybody these days to be suffering from diarrhea, constipation, bloating, cramping, in other words, from a wonky gut. So let's spread this information as much as we can, and we'll get everybody sorted sooner rather than later. And do tell your doctors and your health practitioners about it if they don't already know. I think it's really useful for them to be hearing this, and if they hear it several times, it might start to click. All right, but first, for those who don't really know me, you may know me, of course, from my blog, Strands of My Life, but some of you won't. My name is Suzanne Pierazzini, and I'm a nutritional therapist who specializes in IBS and the low FODMAP diet. I'm also an author, and I've been a low FODMAP diet coach for about 4 years now, full-time. I can remember as a child being obsessed with the toilet. And you probably know that's one of the first signs of having IBS. And I always needed to spend ages in there doing my business. And I couldn't understand why my sisters could run in and out in a few minutes, and it was all over. I mean, I'm still envious of those people. We're never completely normal, even once we get this pretty much sorted. And that running in and out will never be a part of my life. But then again, I wish I could sing without scaring children. So we can't always have what we want. So I spent decades obsessed with the toilet, saying no to invitations that might expose my secret, because this is a secret affliction, as most of you know. Men are more open about it, but women, we keep it all quiet. I mean, it's embarrassing. So I went to many health practitioners, and from the qualified, medically qualified, to the more bizarre end of the spectrum, with voodoo practices, just in an attempt to try to feel normal like everybody else. And of course, none of them had the answer, but they all had an opinion. I mean, when you pay money, and I spent a lot of money, probably like all of you, they feel obliged to give you an opinion. Then they also throw in some medications, some obscure herbs. And the number of times that I heard that I should be eating more fruit, vegetables, and fiber, I mean, I'd be rich if I had a cent for every single time I heard that. And of course, we now know that that is the worst advice of all. But I kept going away and trying all of it over and over again. The fruit, the vegetables, the fiber. They say that if something is not working, then change it. But don't ask me why I didn't change it for so long. I guess I believed that they knew more than me, but I was wrong. In the end, I had to do it myself. And thank heavens for the intervention of the internet. So I Googled and Googled until the internet over the years had actually caught up with what I needed. And eventually I heard about the low FODMAP diet. I ignored it at first because, as you all know, it's a really complex little beast. I mean, lactose-free, give me that any day. That's easy. And I tried it for years, unnecessarily, because in fact I don't have lactose as a trigger. Gluten-free, simple. Cut out a few guilty grains and it's done. Now, I'm not saying celiac's simple, because that's different, because you've got to avoid every single grain of it. Okay, that's a tough one. But FODMAPs are in nearly all foods. I mean, they're in all fruits, vegetables, grains, pulses, legumes. So how do we cut them all out? We can't. We would die from malnutrition. In fact, we'd be left with eating protein and fat. And dogs eat protein and fat, and that keeps them alive. So we'd be eating like a dog, and that does not work for us humans. It's complicated. Yes, it's about good foods and bad foods, but it's also about amounts, combinations, and accumulation. And back then I was thinking, who's got the time to work that out? Not me. That's what I thought. So I kept ignoring it. And I'm sure you've all done the same thing. But one day I was desperate enough to skid to a stop, and I actually read a bit further, a bit more in depth. And yeah, that's what I needed. Oh, golly gosh. And it had to be one of the most complex diets on earth, didn't it? So I began a time of intensive research and experimentation, because back then, and I'm talking about 5, 6 years ago, there was practically nothing on the internet about it, except for these little glimmers of hope, as I mentioned. But I knew I was onto something, and I can get pretty stubborn when I get my teeth into a project. I've always been that way. So I persevered through all the hiccups, the disappointments, while I figured it out. Now let's jump to today. My life has been completely revolutionized by this diet, and also some other lifestyle changes that I've made. I used to sit in a crappy office trying to look happy. That's me there in my little cubicle. And I had a cranky boss. That was my last boss. Most of my other bosses were actually okay, but the last one was really cranky, and that was the last straw. And I was getting these headaches on top of the IBS, and I was getting RSI in my arm, all sorts of things. And all the time I was trying to minimize my visits to the toilet, because that's frowned upon, isn't it? Productivity is the name of the game in a corporate office. Now that I'm out of that, I can say that I was a real mess back then. And I was really barely hanging on with my back teeth. So I eventually sorted my health. I found the low FODMAP diet, got it sorted. And because I was finally getting the nutrients from the food I was eating instead of passing them down undigested into the bowel, which is where they cause the havoc, energy flowed back into my body and into my brain, and I made the infinitely sensible decision to get the hell out of that office. There is me leaving the office. So I now work from home as an online coach, as you know, teaching people how to implement this fabulous but complicated low FODMAP diet. And I also teach people how to make the necessary lifestyle changes to support their IBS. Because I think that even if I had found the low FODMAP diet and was eating perfectly, but I was still in that work situation, I think that I would still have my symptoms. They really do go hand in hand. Now, I now help people every day to become well, and I work with people from all over the world. I've had clients in India, Belgium, Colombia, Ecuador, Switzerland, and of course many, many, many clients in the US, the UK, as well as closer to home, Australia and New Zealand. And I now live life on my own terms, and it's all really because of the low FODMAP diet. And it finally lifted an impossible burden from my life. Now, I've got, as you know, IBS just like you. So I know how you're suffering. Because if you're on this webinar with me, it's because you need to get some help. You need to get this monster off your back. It dominates your every thought, your every decision, as it did mine. And I know you want to be free of this humiliating condition. And it is humiliating. It's embarrassing. You want to be able to eat out with friends and family without causing a fuss or paying for a bellyache. By the way, that's my family. So it's not just a random photo, that's my family. And that's my son on the left. You can just see his head turned around to talk to my nephew. That's my husband on the right with my mother next to him and various other people from my family. Anyway, so I know you want this. You want to be able to eat a meal like that. And if you look at that, it was fairly safe. I missed the beetroots in the big bowl. I didn't have any of that, but I was able to eat everything else. And they do take me into account. They are very kind like that. But I also know that you want to be able to work, to travel, to just live a normal life. And I get it. And it really is there right in front of you if you find the time and the determination to take the next step and do this thing. I know that probably just like me, you're putting off committing because you're so busy. So maybe when the house is renovated, maybe when the kids have left home, maybe after Christmas, maybe after Easter, there's always an excuse. But hey, what's wrong with you? Why would you want to suffer even one day longer than necessary? We humans are so full of excuses of why we shouldn't take action now. And we all do it. It's even got a name, procrastination. So that along with that along with perfectionism is the scourge of humanity. But perfectionism is a whole other story. And I could do a whole webinar on that because so many of my individual clients are perfectionists. We call them type A personalities. And there seems to be an unusually high percentage of people with IBS are type A personalities. Anyway, I'm wandering off on a tangent. All I'm telling you is that this can be done. I did it. My clients do it. You can eliminate your IBS symptoms. You can. There they go. There's no cure though, so let's get that really clear. There's no cure. So this is not an elixir of exquisite delight. It's just not. But we can control IBS instead of it controlling us, and that's massive. And you'd be surprised how fast it works if you've got a little guidance on exactly how to do this so that you don't muck it up. I get emails from people every day who have tried the low FODMAP diet and they failed because they don't have all the little pieces of the diet in place. And that's just sad. I've no idea how many give up on the diet because they get it wrong. I'd probably be horrified because this can save you. This is not a fad diet without any scientific basis to it like so many others out there on the internet. I mean, I've tried the paleo diet. I've tried so many other ones, but they've got no scientific basis to them. This one's been scientifically proven to work. The research team at the Monash University, you can see in the image there, they did a randomized double-blind placebo-based research study that showed that 75% of those with IBS are significantly helped by the low FODMAP diet. Not that I need any proof of that. I've got my own proof of me and those of hundreds and hundreds of clients whose symptoms have disappeared as well. But you might need proof, because I know you've tried so many things and nothing has worked. So why should this? Well, I'm sorry, but you've got to try this one more thing. And I'm going to tell you the 6 elements to put this all together right now. Just before that, I forgot to mention, I have a great bonus for you at the end, but I'll tell you about that soon. But now let's stress the 6 crucial elements for a successful low FODMAP diet. First, let me tell you, the elimination stage of the low FODMAP diet needs to be done 100% accurately or not at all. I say that to so many people and they don't get it. I know it sounds traumatic, but this is not a diet like a lactose or gluten-free one where you can eliminate those 2 elements completely from your diet and you're done. FODMAPs, as I said before, are in almost all foods except for the proteins and the fats. So we can't eliminate them the way we can with lactose and gluten. It's about regulating very carefully how much FODMAP-containing food we allow into our gut at any one time. Small amounts will be absorbed in the small intestine, but not large amounts. The excess will go off down into the large intestine, and that's where it gets fermented and causes all of our bloating and excess gas. So let's look at the first of the crucial elements of an accurate low FODMAP diet. Obviously, you've got the list of good foods and bad foods, but that's just the beginning. So we're going to talk about amounts. The Monash University, as I mentioned, where the low FODMAP diet was developed and where they're still doing ongoing research. I mean, they're researching the content of foods all the time. So if you've got the Monash University app, you'll see that that's expanding all the time. So they've created this ever-expanding list of foods that they've tested. And there's a line they've drawn across. And those above a high FODMAP and those below a low FODMAP. And I know my line goes downwards, not across, but you get the idea. So we can only eat those below the line. So in this case, on the left in my picture. But that upper limit of low FODMAP before it tips over the line is just a line. It's not set in concrete for us as individuals. For example, because fructose is one of my biggest triggers, along with onion and garlic, I can only eat about half the permitted amount of fruits before my symptoms are triggered. So that line for fructose moves to the left, right? So you can probably start to see the complexity of this diet. It's individual and it's about testing, even while on the elimination diet. Of course, you only eat the low FODMAP foods at this stage, but those upper limits may still be a little too high for you. You've got to play around with them for the different FODMAP groups. Later, during the reintroduction stage, you're going to find out what your major triggers are, what your minor triggers are, and what don't trigger, and you'll be able to move that line easily. At the moment, you don't know that, so it is a bit tough. So that's the amounts. The next one is combinations. Let's say you've got the amounts worked out, but you're still struggling, you've still got some symptoms. The next thing to look at is combinations. You've got a mixed fruit salad for yourself with a banana, 8 strawberries, 20 blueberries, and 10 raspberries. Those are all the permitted amounts, and you're feeling very virtuous because a fruit salad's healthy and you've stuck to the correct amounts on the list. But you get a gut ache. I would be dying from that, by the way. But why is that? It's because you've just made a high FODMAP mashup. You've added together the fructose in the strawberries, the fructose in the blueberries, with the fructose in the raspberries, etc. Why do you think that's okay? 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. So that's 4 times the permitted FODMAP level for that meal, for that FODMAP group. No wonder you're feeling sick. You can't eat poorly all day or not at all and then pile all your nutrient needs into one meal. It'll add up to high FODMAP for sure. And that leads us on to element number 3. meal spacing and size. We can't eat big meals because our gut simply can't tolerate it, but also because a large meal would add up to high FODMAP for sure. So we need to have 5 small meals a day. Here we go. 4 and 5, all low FODMAP. And we need to spread our nutrient needs out through those 5 meals. And since the health guidelines tell us that we've got to have 5 to 6 vegetables a day, but we know we can't have too many at any one time, then we basically need vegetables at every meal, including breakfast and snacks. If we only ate 3 meals, we'd never get what we need nutritionally because we've got to eat small meals. And we'd also be very hungry in between since we can't eat a lot at any one time. Hence, the 5 small meals a day. My suggestion is that you schedule your meals into your diary before anything else and they stay non-negotiable. So this is the opposite of what you normally do. You normally schedule your day and your meals fit around what you've scheduled. I'm saying the opposite. Schedule your meals and fit your meetings and everything else around those. Eventually this will get easier and you won't need a reminder because your body will know the routine and it will tell you when it's hungry. Our bodies love routines for the basics of life: sleeping, eating, toileting. That frees us up, in actual fact, to live the rest of our lives more creatively, and there's been research about this. So don't think that you want to be spontaneous in life, therefore you don't want to be tied to a routine for your eating and sleeping. That's actually counterproductive to your creativity. Now, in order to work out a set-in-stone routine, you need to know that you have to space your meals 3 to 4 hours apart. You could do a stretch at 2.5, but you eat your first meal as soon as you get out of bed. And you have to leave around 3 hours so that the motility cleansing wave can pass through the gut, but not much longer than 4, or all the digestion will be finished and gas will start accumulating in your gut. And of course, gas is one of our problems. So we don't want that happening. So work that out to fit into your waking hours, which is usually about 16 hours. But also make sure you've got your last meal at least 3 hours before going to bed so that most of the digestion's finished and you have a calm night. Right, now the next 3 elements we're going to look at concern non-FODMAP gut irritants. Okay, so these got nothing to do with FODMAPs. We need the FODMAP, low FODMAP diet, that's our base, but we are also affected by other gut irritants. And I'm going to talk to you about 3 of them. And the first one is fat. Fat's a gut irritant, but the tolerable level will be different for each of us. We need fat because every cell in our body requires it. So we can't cut it out completely, and we can't keep it too low, but there will be a fine line between okay and triggering your symptoms, and you have to find that line for yourself, and it'll be different to my line, right? I mean, maybe a drizzle of olive oil on a small salad would be okay, but perhaps deep fried chips won't be. Also, if you've had your gallbladder removed, which is common to a lot of people with IBS, and many of my clients have definitely had them taken out, then you have to eat even lower fat than the rest of us, but you probably already know that. I mean, I never advocate buying processed food because the additives are often gut irritants, but also they can contain too much fat, a lot more than you would imagine. Now, just a couple of things to mention here. Salmon, it's a very healthy fish, but it's also very oily. And you have to watch how much you can eat before it causes issues. I mean, it's got no FODMAPs, it's protein, so you'd think you could eat as much as you want. But because of the fat issue, that's not the case. So even though the nutritional health guidelines tell us about 4.4 ounces, which I think is 125 grams of protein meats, I would go to about half of that for salmon and try that amount, and then build it to see when you tip over the line. Because we do want to have things like salmon because it's got the omega-3 in it. So we don't say no salmon. And just another one is peanut butter. Low FODMAP at 2 tablespoons, but that amount would almost certainly cross that fine fat line. So don't let the FODMAP content dictate every choice you make in the diet. And just a little tip here, the permitted amounts are upper amounts. You do not have to eat up to those amounts. You can eat anything below them. And in many cases, you might have to. For example, like the peanut butter, 2 tablespoons would give me a terrible, terrible gut ache. All right, so that's fat. Now, the second gut irritant we're going to look at is fiber. So too much fiber can cause horrendous problems for us. And yet the doctors still tell us to take fiber supplements. So my best advice is to throw them out, and your gut will immediately feel better, whether you've got constipation or not. I had one client, an elderly lady in a rest home, who had been taking fiber supplements. She had IBS with constipation. She'd been taking fiber supplements for years. And even before we started the program, I said, let's just stop the fiber supplements. The next day she emailed me and said, I feel so much better. She had never even tested going a day without them because her doctor said to take them. And she got so much better on the low FODMAP diet once we popped everything together. It was absolutely brilliant. So yes, we need fiber to form good stools, which pass easily, but too much and it causes all that bloating and gas and pain of trapped wind, etc. So we need it, but we have to once again find the level that keeps our bowels moving along nicely, but doesn't cause the IBS symptoms. I mean, you get fiber in your vegetables, of course, so make sure you do have the 5 to 6 a day that's recommended. But also grains contain fiber, and grains like brown rice and quinoa will give you a really good hit. Okay, but test them in small amounts and then increase until you reach that level that bloats you. Some of you might not be able to tolerate brown rice at all. It's really a bit harsh. But others will be able to get away with a permitted cupful cooked, of course. If you've got constipation, the first step I suggest that you take is 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, which have been soaked in water overnight, or at least up to 30 minutes. Have that with your breakfast. Now, you can either decrease or increase that amount, of course, as needed, but I'd say start with about a tablespoon. It's a pretty good, reasonably digested form of fiber. Now, there are other gut irritants like caffeine and alcohol, which are totally not necessary to keep you alive, by the way. But the last element I want to talk about as a gut irritant are your own personal gut irritants. About 20% of my clients also have their own baggage of food issues. It's only 20 though, so 80% don't. But these are things that are outside the scope of FODMAP or even, the other gut irritants like fat and fiber. So these have to be pinpointed very carefully, and you need to be a detective to work out what's still irritating your gut. So I say the other 80% will be symptom-free at this point if they've managed to get all their ducks in a row. But that 20% will still have some issues, and that's why you've got to find your own personal triggers. I've had so many clients pass through my coaching program now that I see the common thread of triggers. But still something can surprise me, so the sky's the limit on this. I mean, some of the common ones obviously are the casein in dairy, which is the protein part, as opposed to lactose, which is the carbohydrate part. But only a really small percentage have actually had that problem. I mean, it could be the salicylate in nuts and seeds. Now, that's one of my issues, and that's a bit higher. I do have several clients who have a bit of an issue with nuts and seeds. Or it could even be something like the oxalic acid in spinach. You know, it seems really innocuous, wonderful green vegetable like spinach. But it has oxalic acid, which can react with some people. Some people also have problems with other things like eggs. That's not an unknown allergy, so do try a day without eggs. And that's all you're doing. You're trying a day or two without these things to see if that improves your symptoms or not. Go a day nut-free. Don't take them all out at once. That's just a bit tricky to do that. And you're unnecessarily reducing your diet. So take out the nuts, go a couple of days. Do you feel better? No. Leave them out, then take out all dairy so that you're testing for the casein. Still not better? Leave it out and take out something else, the eggs maybe. That's how you do it. Once you get symptom-free, so you know you've hit the problem, then one by one introduce those other ones back in, the nuts back in, because you don't know, you might have had 2 triggers there. So the nuts back in for a couple of days, you still stay symptom-free, put the dairy back in, still symptom-free, okay, we know it was, say, the eggs. That's just to give you the system. So that's the final piece of the puzzle, those personal triggers. And this is a complicated puzzle to put together with a lot of moving parts, but get it right and you'll experience a miracle. No more IBS symptoms, but no one says it's easy. So now you've got all that information, don't you dare make any more excuses that you can't do this. This will change your life, and not only your life, but the life of your family. Because don't think for a second that this doesn't affect everybody around you. I bet you're a cranky pants most of the time because you're either in discomfort or in out-and-out pain. And you get your knickers in a twist about all sorts of things that are simple for other people, like eating out, going for a trip, work events. A client of mine, Rachel, said this: after some convincing of my husband, who realized how much I'd been struggling to find things to eat, I joined the program, and just the other day he said that it was life-changing for me. Calm belly, calm mind. A happy spouse. Who doesn't want that? So I want you all to be able to go hot air ballooning. Yes, there's no toilet in a balloon, and I know because I did it in Egypt. Kayaking somewhere wonderful, again, no toilet. Mountain climbing, no toilet. Or simply enjoying a family get-together, knowing that you're not going to get a bellyache and spoil things. Really, really simple things. Sue, another client, sent me this email, and this is precious. I've been walking the dog without fear. Being fearless about going out is such a great feeling. I've been walking with confidence. Over the years, I've noticed my freedom slipping away, and losing the ability to be outdoors has been a great loss to me. The freedom to be mobile again without fear is a prayer answered, and so is this diet. I'm putting my health first, which is a rarity. I haven't felt this good in years. And IBS doesn't only affect women, though more women than men get it, unfortunately, but a male client also sent me an email expressing how much freedom he had now. On Saturday, my wife and I took a 3-hour drive to the ocean. This is the first drive beyond 45 minutes that I've taken in the last 2 years, and the only recreationally oriented drive beyond 15 minutes. We are planning additional trips. I have much more energy. I'm working much more. I had a business lunch with a client last week, and it went just fine. I could cry. Yeah, I guess men can cry too. They just don't show it too often. And you will get worse, you know. You can't starve your body of nutrients for too long before a whole raft of other health issues raise their ugly heads. Most of my clients have a long list of ailments that would fill an encyclopedia, from fibromyalgia to reflux. 80% of people with IBS have reflux, by the way. Depression, gallbladder issues, and on and on and on. And not surprisingly, many of these issues actually start to improve once the diet is corrected and you've made those lifestyle changes as well. Sylvia Vincent, a very grateful client, wrote this: "Now I have a different toolkit that better suits the job. I've been able to repair and rebuild a very sick body, improve my mindset and family life. Saying I'm grateful is an understatement." And folks, this works like magic when you get it right. Ed, a farmer in England that I worked with, wrote this: "I have not had any major IBS symptoms in the 4 months since starting the low FODMAP diet to the time of writing this. I'm a new man." And Kelly, who was one of my very first clients many years ago: "I feel like I have all the weapons I need to tackle my digestive problems for the rest of my life." So once this is learnt, it is learnt. But let me ask you a question. Are you ready to be symptom-free? To be able to work, travel, play with your kids, and socialize without fear, without checking out where the nearest toilet is? And I'm going to tell you how I can help you reach that place in just 2 weeks. Yep, 2 weeks. No more fluffing around trying to do this by yourself, trying to figure out the amounts and the combinations, all the various puzzle pieces that need to be slotted into place while you're still in pain the whole time. So how are we going to do this? Now, is it okay with you ladies, and I'm not sure if we've got some gents there, if I just take a moment to show you how we can eliminate your symptoms together? Would that be okay? It'll just take a few moments and it'll be well worth your time. Then it's up to you, of course. All right, so I get really excited at the beginning of each low FODMAP diet formula workshop. And that's because I only do them 3 times a year. And the next one starts on the 27th of March. So what's that, 10 days away? This is your 11. This is your chance to wave goodbye to this horrible, hideous IBS once and for all, and to start your life over. The workshop will give you everything you need to do this diet properly, to do it 100% so that your symptoms disappear like magic, like I said, all in 2 weeks. This will transform your life. Now, let me make this clear. This is not a self-study program where you're left to your own devices with a bunch of videos. I'm with you for the 2-week duration, guiding and supporting you, me in person. So what will you learn in this workshop? You'll learn how to create a personalized, nutritionally balanced, low FODMAP meal plan based on detailed examples and templates. You'll learn how to find your optimum levels of non-FODMAP gut irritants, like we spoke about, the fiber and the fat and various other elements which complicate the picture. You'll learn how to journal daily and include all the different data you need in order to analyze your progress and isolate your personal triggers. That's what we spoke about before. And you'll learn how to analyze your life and take control back so that you can decrease your stress and live in a different way that supports your IBS. So that's the lifestyle part of it. You're also going to learn how to integrate the diet into your daily life. So lots of strategies for eating out, traveling, working, dealing with family and friends. In other words, how to live a normal life. You're going to finally get all those messy pieces of the puzzle put in place so that you can conquer this once and for all. As I say, once this is learned, it's learned. So what do you actually get in the workshop? The meal plans, 14 days of delicious, even if I say so myself, nutritionally balanced, low FODMAP meal plans that quickly eliminate your IBS symptoms. Now, these include recipes, but they're not compulsory. There's also simple alternatives. You don't have to be a cook, in other words. Now, there are 2 live training sessions, which will be recorded for those who can't attend. And in these, I explain the meal plans, all the nuances of the diet, and alternative issues and details. These can go on for quite a while. The last one I did was almost 2 hours. I always think I'm only going to be on for an hour, but there's a lot to tell you about the ins and outs of this diet. So there's 2 of those, 1 each week, and there's also 2 live Q&A sessions. So that's where you can ask me your questions. You all get to talk. These are small groups I have. You all get to talk about your own story, and you can report on your progress and get support in these Q&A sessions. Even the training ones, we do have a little bit at the beginning where we all have a bit of a chat, and we can all see each other as well. Now, you also get my IBS Daily Journal, and this is for sale on Amazon and also on my website, but this is included here. This way you can start recording everything on a daily basis, essential. And you also get highly practical and motivating videos. They walk you through the precise strategies you need to integrate the diet into your life. That's where I was talking about for eating out, working, dealing with family and friends, and so on. These videos also have got transcriptions if you prefer to read rather than listen, so you can print out the whole talk. Now, you also get clear step-by-step exercises and worksheets which show you exactly how to implement what you've learned. And you get daily challenges to keep you on your toes and to just help get your lifestyle in order. As we say, that's part of one of the puzzle pieces that you need. Now, you also get 9 bonus videos. They're not 9 hours, but there's 9 bonus videos which cover lots of other topics like SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, constipation in particular, although we talk about that in the training, reflux, and we talk about that in the training, eating low FODMAP on a budget, and many others. And of course, we have to have a community where you can all communicate whenever you want during the 2 weeks and for some time afterwards. So we have a private Facebook group. This is just for those on the workshop, and nobody else can see what happens in there. It is super, super private, okay? And this is really good for accountability and for support. It's quite crucial, actually, to get results. Not everybody's on Facebook. I have persuaded people to join Facebook just for the workshop, and then they can leave. I mean, some of you might not want to at all. And that's fine. We have the live sessions. You get everything through a membership site where you go and find everything. Plus, you get daily emails from me. So you don't have to be on Facebook. That's not a deal breaker. So this workshop starts Monday, the 27th of March, 11 days, and it ends on the 7th of April. This can be done, by the way, from anywhere in the world, as long as you've got some sort of device, even an iPad, you can do it with. So the cart has already opened, and the cart closes on the 21st of March. What's that? 4 or 5 days away. So you better put your decision-making panties on and jump in so that you can get that toilet-free life that you crave. So the link where you go to, which tells you all about the workshop and where you can make your decision and pay, is at strandsofmylife.com/free. All right, so let me summarize what you get in the workshop. 14 days of meal plans with recipes, 4 live sessions for training, support, and Q&As, my IBS Daily Journal, practical and motivating how-to videos, step-by-step worksheets, daily lifestyle challenges, 9 bonus videos, and membership in our private Facebook group. And remember that bonus I spoke about before? Well, there's actually 2. So the first one, if you join this program, you'll get a customized 7-day meal plan created especially for you. So this means that you're filling out a questionnaire, and your first week of meal plans will be made especially with your likes and dislikes taken into account. Now, these are the ones that I sell on my site for $49, but this will be included. And on top of that, bonus number 2 is a 30-minute phone call before you start the program. And that way you can tell me your personal story and we can nut some things out about your situation so we can get you off to a flying start with the workshop. I get to know you, which is really useful for me helping you during the 2 weeks. Now, the value of the phone call's $50, so add that to the meal plans. You've got almost $100 of bonuses just for deciding to solve your IBS problems. So, how much is this 2-week interactive workshop going to cost you? I can hear you asking. How much will it cost you to get your life back in just 2 weeks? $299 US. And what you need to do to join is simply go to, as I said, strandsofmylife.com/free. You sign up. You'll be taken immediately to the membership hub where you can already start watching the bonus videos, and you can access the IBS Daily Journal and the meal plans immediately. And if you need to contact me at all, got any questions, there's the email address on the screen, support@strandsofmylife.com. So think about how much you've probably already spent on your IBS issues with no results, probably thousands of dollars, probably more than you actually like to think about. And I know that you would spend that and more if you thought it would solve your gut problems once and for all. You'd probably spend $10,000 if you could get your health back, wouldn't you, to get relief? Yet just for $299 and the bonuses, you're going to get that. You'd spend that in a weekend probably, eating out, going shopping, perhaps to a show, a few drinks beforehand, and you'd have nothing to show for it afterwards. So let me show you how this $299 is going to change your life. In fact, I'm going to let you hear it from one of my past workshop participants, Janet Rebidew. The workshop with Suzanne has been a life-changing experience, and I highly recommend it to everyone who suffers from IBS. Prior to the workshop, I was chained to the toilet and suffered pain and bloating after eating. IBS was interfering with every aspect of my life. Everything changed with the workshop and Suzanne's guidance with the low FODMAP diet. I learned so much and my symptoms disappeared immediately. I'm excited about the future and know that I can live a full life without symptoms. The care and knowledge that Suzanne gave each of the participants is invaluable. Let me read you a great quote. I love this quote by Laurie Goodwin. Even in times of trauma, we try to maintain a sense of normality until we no longer can. That, my friends, is called surviving, not healing. We never become whole again. We are survivors. If you're here today, you are a survivor. But those of us who have made it through hell and are still standing, we bear a different name, warriors. So do you want to just be a survivor or do you want to be a warrior? So you've got two choices. The first one, obvious, do nothing and keep suffering. The second one is to take action today and get your life back so your future is bright and unlimited. So do you want to join the 75% of IBS sufferers who've done this diet and who are symptom-free? Now that 75% is what the research has showed us. My clients' percentage is much higher than that, but that's because they're getting the personal attention and we're sorting out the other gut irritants as well, because the IBS, the low FODMAP diet, only takes care of part of it. So just do this, dive in and get yourself sorted, not just for you, but for your family and friends. This diet really does work like magic if you know what you're doing. And I give you only what works, so you can eliminate your symptoms really quickly in the shortest time, and you'll get my support all the way through. This is a super interactive workshop where you've got me on tap all the way through for questions and support. But look, don't dally around, because those two valuable bonuses, the customized meal plans and the personal phone call, are only for the next 48 hours, starting from the end of the Q&A. Now, that's just because otherwise I won't be able to sort of control who was at the webinar who wasn't. It takes a little bit. The logistics of it are tricky. So 48 hours. So let's get you symptom-free for the rest of your life. Now, I can see some questions already in the Q&A box over there. So I'm going to move on to the Q&A. Any questions about anything I've said or about the workshop? Anything at all, I'm happy to answer. Now, let me see if I can stop this share so you can see me, and I'll get the questions in front of me. Stop share. There we are. Now, if I bring on my video again, you can see me. Hopefully, you've got me. So I'm going to pull the Q&A across so I can read what's in there. I wish I'd been able to read that chat. I could see things happening in there too, but I'll read that afterwards. Technology is overrated. All right, anyway, I'll read that later. So we have some questions here. Just make sure your questions go in the Q&A and not in the chat. So, Eleanor. So it's IBS, or can IBS be simply and purely about food intolerances? Undiagnosed food intolerance, especially if your colonoscopy comes back totally clear and doctors don't know why you could be experiencing really severe IBS symptoms. All right. So the diagnosis of IBS is when they do all the testing like colonoscopies and they find nothing physiologically wrong with you at all. And that's when they diagnose IBS. You've got symptoms, they can't find anything physiologically wrong, you've got IBS. Now, IBS can be sorted through the whole food intolerances, and we know that those are mainly the carbohydrates, the FODMAPs in food, as well as the other gut irritants. But as I mentioned, there are other puzzle pieces, and lifestyle is part of that, and that's why I'm sure I had to leave that job in order to get the results that I did. So lots of puzzle pieces come together. So it's not purely food intolerances, but that's a major part of it. Are illnesses like chronic fatigue syndrome, severe vitamin deficiencies, for example, D and B12, can they be caused by and or exacerbate some types of IBS? My vitamin D and B12 are so low, I've been told I have to inject daily for the rest of my life. All right. Oh my golly gosh. So we know that when we have IBS and we're not on the low FODMAP diet, that we are malnourished. And that's a tough thing to hear in the Western world, that we are malnourished. But it's true, because we're only absorbing some of the nutrients from the food before the rest of it goes off down in the bowel and ferments and is not absorbed. So we can be eating the most healthy diet on earth, and if we're not absorbing it, it's like we haven't eaten it. We do absorb small amounts, remember. We're not intolerant, we're not allergic. We malabsorb. So we absorb some and the rest goes off down. So with my clients, I have found that they all have other health issues and they all improve. Now, I'm not saying that if you've got high blood pressure, that's suddenly going to become low or better. I'm saying that a lot of other things will improve. Headaches, definitely energy levels and tiredness. We know that people with IBS are low in D, Eleanor, and I always advise my clients to go off most supplements, because everything that goes in your mouth affects your gut, but vitamin D to stay on it. It is very common for us to be low in D. I would say, Eleanor, once you're on the low FODMAP diet, you've got it done absolutely accurately, you're starting to absorb the nutrients in the food, you don't have diarrhea or constipation or bloating or gas, which means you're absorbing the nutrients from the food you're eating, then I would go and get those levels tested again. And I would actually be really interested to hear from you whether they were better or not after, say, 6 months on the diet. I know that a lot of my health markers improved a lot once I'd been on the diet for a while. And in fact, the doctor raised her eyebrows at some of them that she reckoned never really improved in anybody, but they had improved in me. Right, apparently bile acid malabsorption can also mimic IBS symptoms. for those with BAM, can the FODMAP diet help, or do they have to have something more specific? Now, my specialty is the low FODMAP diet and IBS. There are many things that mimic the symptoms of IBS, unfortunately, like gallbladder issues and SIBO and other things as well. So I would try the low FODMAP diet. You've got nothing to lose at all by trying it, and see if those issues improve or not. Right, here we have one without a name. She's called User. Even if I haven't any pain at a certain moment in time, if I bend forward for any length of time, the pain starts. Any idea why? It's because you're restricting your digestive system. With IBS, one thing they know is that we have a hypersensitive gut. And often the rest of our bodies can be hypersensitive too, and that's why we end up with fibromyalgia. But we have a hypersensitive gut. And what that means is that anything a little abnormal is going to cause us pain. That's why we have to eat small meals. If we eat just a little bit too much and it stretches our gut a little bit too far, then that is felt as pain. Someone else would just go, oh, I ate too much, and rub their tummy. For us, it'll be pain. So you bending over and restricting your digestive system like that, yes, I can say that that would be felt as pain, whereas it wouldn't in somebody else. So stop bending forward. Maybe that would be difficult. I guess we've all got to bend forward sometimes. Pick up rubbish off the floor. Ask someone else to do it. All right. No, I don't know how to say your name properly. Kearney. Sounds nice, but I'm probably saying it wrong. I don't have gut pain and I don't have gas problems, just diarrhea. Can I still have IBS? Yes, absolutely. And that's because often with diarrhea, things are moving so fast through, you don't have a gas problem. It's just coming out all the time. And so the pain's not there, because the pain is usually from trapped gas or from eating too much, from stretching the gut, the hypersensitive gut. And you don't have any of that because it's all just going straight through and coming out. So yes, many of my clients with the diarrhea side don't talk as much about the bloating and the gas. They might, but they might not. But of course, many of them are taking medications to try and stop it. And then they can start to get the bloating and the gas because they're actually stopping up the diarrhea. Who have we got here? Kate. Is there a benefit to taking probiotics as well? Now, I recently did a course on the gut microbiome from the University of Boulder, Colorado, and it was quite eye-opening. So we were taught by the actual scientists who are doing the research into the gut microbiome and into probiotics. And they say it's far, far too early for us to have any probiotics that will help us. They could, in fact, hurt us. If we've got an imbalance of the bacteria in the gut and the probiotic gives us more of the one that we're high in, then it's going to make us feel worse. And I have felt worse on probiotics in the times when I've tested them. I don't take them at all now, not after that course anyway. They say that it's bordering on a scam, what's happening out there with all the sale of probiotics for people with IBS, because the scientists themselves say that they don't have any. They don't have enough knowledge to be creating a probiotic that can help us. So take them if you want. If you think they help you, fantastic. If they hurt you, stop them. But they cost a lot of money, and there is absolutely no proof whatsoever at this point in time that they will help your IBS. Hopefully that will change in the future. I'm on the low FODMAP diet and have lost nearly a stone in weight. What can I eat to increase my weight? I've been diagnosed as wheat, gluten, cow's milk, and egg intolerant. Right, the first user, I would ask who diagnosed that, because there's only one valid scientific way to test any of those things. All the other allergy type tests are got no science behind them, despite the fact you see them all over the internet and people are charging you lots of money to have them done. Now the question of losing the weight though is that there's no reason at all to be losing weight on this diet. I've had pro athletes on the diet. I don't know if I mentioned in the webinar, I had a long distance runner who had it with diarrhea, and he found that really difficult because it was so hard to find bushes in the desert. He did long distance running, like across deserts, and he was eating enough for all his training. So it's about balancing your 5 meals and making them perhaps equally weighted for those of you who tend to lose weight on this diet. Obviously eat up to the permitted amounts, but eat up to the permitted amounts in each of the 5 meals. So instead of thinking of the morning and afternoon snack as snacks, think of them as meals, full meals. So this guy in particular would have a plate of rice with his permitted vegetables and a big lump of meat or fish for his snacks. So that's how you do it. There's absolutely no reason at all to lose weight on this diet. There's plenty of food in it for the most active people. So try that, making equally weighted meals throughout the day. Let's see if there's anybody else here. Yes, SLCRO000. My doctor advised me to take peppermint oil capsules, aloe vera juice, and psyllium husks, as well as the low FODMAP diet. Would you continue to take these? Take them one by one. Peppermint oil is great for IBS, bad for reflux. So if you've got reflux, stop it immediately. If you don't have any reflux, if you're in the 20% who don't, then continue taking them. Aloe vera juice has not been tested yet. I personally wouldn't be touching it. And there's no magic button. So the idea that something like aloe vera juice is going to solve your IBS problems is complete rubbish. So once you're symptom-free, test it if you like it. Psyllium husks have not been tested. They, in my opinion, they're far too harsh as a fiber for us. And I've got IBS with the constipation side, so I'd be the first one to be reaching for them if I thought they could help. I've tried so many of that sort of thing, and they've all hurt me rather than helped me. I have a video on YouTube about constipation, 2 of them actually, but watch the more recent one, and it will tell you exactly how to build up your fiber levels very gradually over about a week to get to the right level so that it doesn't cause bloating, but gives you enough for your constipation. But I wouldn't be taking psyllium husks. Again, test it. If it doesn't give you any bloating or symptoms, absolutely fine. I'm just going to have a wee drink here. I hope you're all drinking as well. Remember, 8 glasses a day. Could IBS cause nausea? The nausea will be more likely to be caused by reflux, which, as I say, 80% have got it. And many people don't know they've got reflux. There's a silent type of reflux, which is not, you're probably thinking of the heartburn kind of reflux. You can have a reflux that causes you to cough a little bit and clear your throat. You feel like there's something around your vocal cords, and that is also reflux. And the nausea normally indicates reflux, burping, things like that. So not the IBS, but the reflux, yes, causes nausea. Okay, for someone who has a very sweet tooth, does the diet offer alternatives to grabbing a bad bar of chocolate or biscuit? Absolutely, absolutely. Go to my website and see how many sweet treats that I have on there, how many recipes. And also in the workshop, the meal plans include sweet treats. Not every day, but 3 to 4 times a week you're allowed a sweet treat. I don't agree with completely cutting out something like that, because then you're probably going to fail. So it's better to have a low FODMAP one in the right amount than to be, as you say, reaching for a bad bar of chocolate because you just can't resist any longer. So I do a lot of, I do quite a lot of baking myself for the family. All right, have we got any other questions, or have we come to the end? That looks like the end. So if there's nobody else, let me see. All right, Ellen has been writing things over here. The doctors have told you you're malnourished and severe vitamin deficiency. Yeah. You're frightened of needles. You know, I don't mind so much when they take my blood. I just turn away and it's all over quickly. But the idea of acupuncture, which there's some really good research, by the way, that shows that it helps us with IBS. There's been some really good research just come out, actually, that confirms that it's good for us. But I can't bear the thought of it, having lots of needles all over me. Drink it. Whoa, wait a minute. Eleanor's drinking pear juice. Eleanor, pear juice is high FODMAP. Are you just... I thought you might be joking with me. No, you're drinking pear juice. It's high FODMAP. Stop immediately. No drinking of juice. You've got to drink water. The only juice that's allowed is cranberry juice at 1 glass and orange juice at half a glass, as long as you don't have reflux. I don't touch any at all, but then fructose is one of my bigger triggers. You hate the taste of water. Well, you're going to have to learn to like it. You're really going to have to learn to like it. This is going to suck badly this time. You get so used to it. You know, we are creatures of habit. Once we formed a habit, it feels natural. Until it's a habit, it doesn't feel natural. And so we kind of fight against it. You've got to go through that period of creating the new habit, and then it feels natural. Once you've been drinking water for a while, I can't imagine not having my glass of water in front of me the whole time. It's not going to suck bad. You're going to feel so good that, you know, the offside of having to drink water is going to be completely minor compared to that. Right, if there's no more questions, I'm going to call this a day. I hope you lovely ladies and gents, I'm not sure if I've got a gent in here. Yes, we have got a gent in here, I can see. Join me on the workshop. They're a lot of fun. Anybody who's been through one will tell you that, because we all get to know each other, small group, and we share all our problems, and of course we all understand each other. So I'd love to see you all on it. The cart closes, as I said, in 4 or 5 days, but you get immediate access to the membership site. You just get straight on there. You've got your meal plans, your IBS daily journal, the videos to get you going. You can join the Facebook group and we can start chatting in there. All right, now let me just double check if something else came in. One more. Barker's in New Zealand has concentrated juice with low FODMAP fruits. Is this allowed? No. No. You can have 1 glass of cranberry juice. Just make sure there's like no added sugar or anything else nasty in there, because they all manage to put things in, although Barker's in New Zealand is pretty good. Or half a glass of the orange juice. But again, if you have fructose as one of your major triggers like me, then that's going to hurt you. I would never touch either of those juices. So no, don't. Drink water. Drink water. All right. Oh, I get a lot of chuckles, Eleanor, with my clients as well, the things they do and say, and their expectations and so on. Is it your first webinar ever? Oh, I hope, well, I'm glad that you thought it was a lovely webinar. All right, so that's the end of it. It's been lovely having you all on here. I do enjoy doing these. I get a bit nervous beforehand, but then once I'm in them, I really enjoy it, because I see you all in front of me. Well, I don't see your faces, but I can see you all in my list. You probably don't have the list. I've got the list of you all. So I'm going to say goodbye. Good morning from me. It's time for me to go and have my morning snack. And good evening to many of you in the US and the UK. Lovely talking to you. Let's just double check there's not another question. Thank you. Have a good birthday. Yes, my husband has booked a restaurant. He knows well and truly about my low FODMAP needs, so it should go really well. Well, it's almost, oh, what? 11 minutes past 11 at night, Eleanor. All right, well, Eleanor, thanks for being a great participant and filling up the chat room and the questions as well. I will have a great birthday. I'll be thinking of you all. Hopefully I'll see you in the workshop. Okay, I'm going to close this now. I've got to find where to close it. End meeting. All right, bye-bye.